Hello everyone, welcome back. So I'm very happy to be here with you today, and this is a very special video for me because this is my 100th video special, and I have now posted with this video 100 full-length videos. And now if you go to my channel, you'll see that I have something like 104 videos by now, but most of the 4 of those are shorts, and I don't really count those because they're shorts I made out of other videos mostly. And it's very special for me for another reason, which is that I started my channel last August. I want to say that my first video was posted on August 14th of last year, August 14th or August 15th of last year, and I was not a raging success, that's for sure. Until I made my Booktube newbie tag, I had 3 views, and I was very grateful that I had those 3 views, because I know I've seen videos people have posted that have sat here for a year and gotten 1 view, no view. But anyway, once I posted the newbie tag, I started to find an audience. It took a while. But anyway, my point is, before I started my channel, I had been kind of flirting with the idea for about 3 or 4 months by that point, probably a little bit longer. And just purely for the fun of it, I had started doing tags on my own. I would watch other people do tag videos, and I would just write down my answers on paper, and just kind of a way to amuse myself. And eventually I started thinking, well, I had also had a discussion with someone, and I had sort of, well, it was in the comments, I had informed them that they were having kind of a rough time seeing the point of their channel. And I had made the argument that they had already done something important with their channel, which is that they had joined the conversation. And so I got to thinking, well, I've told him about that, and what about me? Have I joined the conversation? And that sort of led to the creation of my channel. And I'm going to go through some of those reasons today. So, this has not always come easily for me. So when I started my channel, I told myself that I was not going to allow myself to make 2 or 3 videos and then quit. And I thought, well, what if I do 6 months? But I thought, well, okay, what if I make 3, 4 videos in 6 months and call that good? That's not enough. So instead, what I decided to do was I wanted to make sure that I could settle into my channel, that I could settle into making videos, that I could overcome the frustrations of learning how to upload and deal with all of that, and, giving people time to find my channel. And so I settled on 100 videos, which is this video right here. I would wait 100 videos until I decided whether to continue or quit. And that way I could see the ups and downs, I could deal with the frustrations. I would have forced myself to go through with this to a great enough extent that I would know whether or not I wanted to continue or quit. And I'm glad to tell you today that I have no intentions of quitting. Barring unforeseen circumstances, I'm going to continue doing this. I knew that. I knew that like quite a long time back. But today is the reckoning on whether or not to continue, and I'm going to continue. So I just wanted to talk about how, about 6 months ago, something like that, about 6 months ago, I guess it was in February. So I had been sick in November and December, and in January I didn't read very many books because I was still sick. And I didn't make many videos. And I was kind of having a hard time getting back into the flow of making videos, and I sort of asked myself, like, well, what's the point? Why am I even doing this? I'm anxious. I have social anxiety. I get kind of frustrated when I stumble over my words sometimes. I'm not always very fluent in what I'm trying to say, and it can be very frustrating. And on top of that, there are times when maybe one of my videos will get a lot of views in only a day or two, and then my like flight instincts really, really light up, and they, because I've never been the person to stand out in the spotlight. I've never been the kind of person to be out on the stage or anything like that. So when I have 400 or 500 people, and I mean, I realize that's small numbers compared to what a lot of people get. When I have 400 or 500 people watching a video within a day or two, I feel very exposed, and I just want to flee and hide, and just, I don't know, it is a very weird feeling. Like, I'm very grateful that people watch my videos, but at the same time, there is that kind of panic. And I kind of wonder, am I ever going to be able to make a good video again? Are people ever going to watch another video of mine? And I just have all these, because I am a relatively shy, introverted, anxiety-ridden person. So this is not natural to me, but it means a great deal to me that people watch my videos. And it means a great deal to me that I have been able to do this, because there was a very long period in my life where there's no way I could have done this. But in the middle of that very frustrating moment where I was trying to figure out why I'm doing this, why am I putting myself through these experiences, I was sort of doing some cleaning and rearranging at the time, and my dad gave me these books years ago that were like business self-help books. He went through a period where he was reading a lot of self-help books and business-related self-help books, which is odd because he is not really in business. But anyway, so this is way back when I was like 15, 16. I was going through a rough patch, and he was giving me these books. But anyway, I was moving them around and, thinking, well, I can get rid of this. But I looked through one, and it said, create a mission statement. And I thought, well, that's not a terrible idea, but I don't really want to create a mission statement. It's not really what I'm particularly good at. What I am good at is creating lists. So I sat down and I started writing out a list of reasons of why I make Booktube videos, and why I feel it's important to make Booktube videos, and why I want to continue making Booktube videos. And that is the list that I want to share with you today. So the original list, I wound up, this is the original list, and it developed over several months. It wasn't all at once. But this is the original list. It had, I believe, yes, 11 reasons. And I refined that on my mini yellow legal pad that I used to write book notes. I refined that into 6 reasons. So today we're going to go over those 6 reasons. And basically all I did was I took some of these and I realized they were basically the same thing or very similar, and I just condensed them into these 6 reasons. So we're going to explore that, you and I. So the first reason is connecting with and establishing a dialogue with other readers. So I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of people in my life who are readers. I have a few, and we do not share the same type of bookish interests. Like my grandpa reads a lot, but he reads a lot of westerns and thrillers and that sort of thing, and he will just read anything he gets his hands on as far as thrillers and westerns and adventure stories and that sort of thing, spy novels. And I read some of that sometime, but it's kind of hard for us to have a conversation back and forth between ourselves, because we don't read in the same genres as, and he doesn't read much nonfiction at all, for instance. So I think it's very nice to have a platform where I can come on and ramble and yap aimlessly sometimes, and stumble over my words and not know exactly where I'm going. And other people come in and say, I understand what you're talking about. I know that book, or that's a very interesting book, or have you read this book, or have you thought about this? So that's really nice. It is really nice to plug into this system of readers all around the world. That is really, really nice. And so that is my first reason. So the second reason is promoting the act of reading and introducing readers to books. So I think we need people in this day and age who are willing to stand up and champion the act of reading, and to talk about how great reading is and how good some books are, and to talk about books. And I think it's very important also that there are people, well, I'd like to say such as myself, who read books that aren't really talked about anymore, that are older books that are uh, not so ready at hand, and not so based in the contemporary publishing world. So I read older books. I read used books. I don't read contemporary books very often at all. And I think it is really nice to be able to get on YouTube, get on Booktube, and talk about older books, to talk about books that other people perhaps have never heard of, that they've never seen, that they themselves would be interested in if only they knew about them. And so that is my second reason, promoting the act of reading and introducing readers to books. And I think that is very important, what we are doing here, and that both viewers and booktubers are doing together, where we are, have you heard of this book? Let me tell you what I think about this book. Let me give you some suggestions, and you can give me some suggestions and tell me what you think. So I think that's very important, and I wanted to be a part of that. So number 3 is contributing to the subculture/community that helped revitalize my reading and alleviated my sense of loneliness as a reader. So as I said, I had come to a point before I started Booktube where I was still reading, but my reading had kind of grown stale. I had kind of grown tired with what I was reading, with reading in general. It felt like a lonely activity, and I would sometimes question why I was reading instead of doing other things. You know, why am I sitting in this room by myself reading this book? And when I found Booktube, I've said this before, but it was like coming home. It was like finding my people. It was very, I mean, it was just a complete change. I mean, it wasn't overnight or anything, because it took me a while to discover this, and it, you know, I want to get into that in a minute, but it took me a while to discover Booktube as an entity. I discovered a booktuber and then another and then another, and it was a very organic process. It wasn't something that I really, you know, I didn't dive right in head first or anything, but I started to see these other people talking about books and how much they like to read and the books they like to read, and how wonderful it seemed for them. And when I found other people who loved books, who could just read for fun, purely for fun, that was just, it was like letting a weight off my shoulders, and I started reading trashy books again. Like after I found Criminali's channel, he has so much joy in reading trashy books that I thought, you know what, I want to read a trashy book and I want to enjoy it, and I did. And I was seeing other people reading nonfiction, and it felt really good. And I really just wanted to be a part of that, and I still want to be a part of that. And I know there's a lot of talk on Booktube about community, and I do think that there are communities within Booktube. I think, though, that something that kind of gets overlooked is that perhaps Booktube as a whole should be looked at as a subculture, or perhaps a cyberculture even, with communities inside of it. I think maybe that's where some of the argument about Booktube as a community comes from, is because we don't all feel part of a huge community, though we might feel part of smaller communities. But I don't really want to go into that. That was just something I've been thinking about lately. So I think that it is very important for us to be a part of this subculture and to find communities within it to be a part of, and I want to be a part of this subculture and these communities. Okay, so let's see. Reason number 4 is providing an alternative to trash media and maintaining a bulwark against AI and anti-intellectual garbage. Bulwark is kind of a difficult word for me to pronounce. So I think that one is probably pretty self-explanatory. Every minute that somebody spends watching a Booktube video is a minute they don't spend watching some other kind of brain-draining garbage, right? And I do think that it is important in this day and age where people are using AI to make videos, to make complete videos. I'm not talking about like thumbnails or anything like that. I'm talking about if you have found these channels where the voice is AI, the writing is AI, the images are all AI. I think it's important for people like me. I was going to say nerds like me, and I am a nerd, but maybe not everybody in this space is a nerd. But it is important for people like us to have this sort of, I know it's through technology, but it is a human based interaction that we are having here. I try to make this like a conversation with you, the viewer, and you're free to comment and to ask questions. I don't mind whatsoever. But I think this is a very important space where we are having these intellectual conversations. We're having these debates and these discussions, and even when controversies erupt, we are having. I think that they are important discussions, and not just for this space, but for the world in general. Maybe that sounds inflated or something, but I think that because this is an international subculture, cyberculture, whatever you want to call it, these conversations that we are having with each other, and being able to watch something that isn't, garbage. And I know I was just talking about garbage fiction, but that is just pure entertainment reading, whereas some garbage television videos, etc., I think are actually harmful to the viewer, to their mind and that sort of thing. Whereas I think that probably even the worst Booktube video is going to be at least not just entertaining, but somewhat educating. Perhaps if only about, well, I don't like this book, or I don't like this style of presentation, or whatever it is. But I think that is important. Okay, so reason number 5 is overcoming my fear of public speaking and putting myself out there whether I feel like it or not. So I've already talked about this earlier in the video, but I am not a public type person, and I'm the kind of person who usually has to force myself to come out and say hello to people and that sort of thing. And I wanted to be able to do this in order to overcome that fear of being seen, of the fear of having my opinions known, overcome my fear of being heard by others. And I think that this has really helped me in that regard. I feel much better about stating my opinions, about putting my own opinions out there and that sort of thing. And now, I don't know if this would really transfer, like if there were 100 of you actually in front of me, like, would I be able to speak the way I am speaking now to you? I don't know about that. Maybe if I was in a really good mood. I have these moods that go up and down, and sometimes when I'm in a bad mood, it's hard to film a video. When I'm in a good mood, I can just flow right through it. Like both my Silence of the Lambs video and my Red Badge of Courage video were filmed on a whim in a good mood. But I have had some of these videos where I just sit down and I go, especially earlier when I was just starting, but I would go, and I would be totally frustrated and just want to pull my hair out, which I can't pull my hair out anymore. I guess I could if I had tweezers. But it was just a way for me to kind of overcome my social anxiety and to overcome my fear of being heard. And I think that this has really helped me. So that is reason number 5, overcoming my fear of public speaking and putting myself out there whether I feel like it or not. Which brings us to the 6th and last reason, at least for now. I may come up with other reasons. I keep this close to me, and I write down anytime a new reason comes to my mind, I write it down. But for now, there are 6. So reason number 6 is learning patience and perseverance in the face of anxiety and frustration. And I actually have Kevin Toll to thank for this one. So Kevin was trying to make a video, and apparently he lives near some train tracks, and the train comes by and interrupts him when he's trying to make videos. So I left a comment that was something like, I think that sometimes the real reason of making Booktube videos is for us to learn patience and perseverance in the face of anxiety and frustration, because, sometimes my dogs will be in the living room and their favorite activity in the whole wide world is to see a cat go by and howl, or to see a delivery person coming up or somebody walking past and just to bark and howl, and endlessly sometimes it seems, while I'm sitting here frustrated. And I've had videos where I'm making videos, like I was making my bookshelf tour, and I would get through like 30 minutes and the camera would shut off, which taught me how to pause and start a new video so that I would have these 10-minute sections rather than a huge chunk get deleted. That's on my old phone. I haven't had any problems on this one so far. But like I said, I don't always feel, I know that I seem really maybe rather extroverted right now and in good energy, and it's because I'm in a good mood. I'm happy to have made it to 100 videos, but I'm not always in a good mood. I'm not always, rip roar and ready to go. And so to sit down and make a video and for it to come out watchable, for it to come out as if, I don't want to say, it's not me being fake or anything like that, but it does take a lot of energy for me sometimes to make these videos. And I think if you have watched my other videos, you will probably be able to spot the ones where I'm kind of, I don't really want to do this, but I really want to talk about this book or whatever. And my sentiments are genuine. It's not that I'm being fake or anything like that. It's just that I sometimes really have to psych myself up to do these videos. And I sometimes, I will sometimes have a very frustrating 5 or 10 minutes where maybe the first 3 or 4 takes did not work, but I really, really want to make this video and I really want to hear what other people think. So I just kind of, I learn patience and perseverance through dealing with these issues, through dealing with technical issues, through learning to overcome my own reticence and my own natural shyness. And I will admit that I am rather quick to be irritated by certain things. And it's me learning these skills, learning how to deal with these frustrations and all that. I feel like I'm rambling now. But those are my 6 reasons. So I'm going to read them again here. Number 1, connecting with and establishing a dialogue with other readers. Number 2, promoting the act of reading and introducing readers to books. Number 3, contributing to the subculture/community that helped revitalize my reading and alleviated my sense of loneliness as a reader. Number 4, providing an alternative to trash media and maintaining a bulwark against AI and anti-intellectual garbage. Number 5, overcoming my fear of public speaking and putting myself out there whether I feel like it or not. Number 6, learning patience and perseverance in the face of anxiety and frustration. So if you are a booktuber out there and you are questioning perhaps why you are doing this when you could be reading, or why you are doing this when you are perhaps shy like I am, or anxious like I am, and maybe you're dealing with technical frustrations, or you're dealing with issues of being in front of the camera, I totally understand. I think it could be really helpful for you if you might sit down and write a list like mine. I'm not saying you should copy my list. I'm saying come up with your own reasons as to why this is so important, and why it has meaning, and why you should continue to do it. I know it's really, really helped me. And when I get down in the dumps about things, and when maybe I'm wondering why am I doing this, maybe I put out a video and very few people watch it, and I feel like it was a really good video, and that it can be very frustrating. But I sit down and I read my list, and it has really helped me, and it's really connected me with with this experience and with why I'm doing this, it has given me the drive to continue making videos and to look forward to making videos. And when I'm having a hard time, I never lose touch with the fact that this is important. And I don't just mean my videos, I mean Booktube as a whole. All of Booktube is important. And I think that it's important for me to be a part of it. I think it's important for the viewers to be a part of it. And I think we are doing something here that perhaps it's easy to overlook how special this is, and how this is, I mean, yes, okay, in the old days you could write letters to people, and in the 1500s you could write a letter to somebody and it might get there in 3 months, and maybe they're not even there anymore or something. But here we have instant, international, worldwide communication with each other. We can talk with each other about all these subjects, and we can share the love of books with each other. And I love it. And I hope that in my videos, that if nothing else comes through, that my love of Booktube and my love of reading and how special this is to me comes through. Now that's probably not always the case, like I said, because I do deal with anxiety and frustration, and sometimes some of my videos probably look like I'm having a bad time. But it has never dampened my love for Booktube, and I have never regretted making videos and becoming a part of this space. And I really want to thank you for watching my videos, and it really does make me feel good. And whenever I get comments on videos, and whenever I have engaged with someone, and when I have encouraged someone to read a book, and when somebody watches my video and says, I've heard about that book, but you make me want to read it. I'm going to read that book. That makes me feel really good. And that is why I am here. And I think this is a very special place. I keep saying that, but it's because I think that it is true. I believe that it is true. And so before I ramble on into endlessness, I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm really glad to have made it to 100 videos. I'm going to keep making videos. And I want to thank you for joining me on this special occasion. And I'll see you next time.